Willie Jerome Fly Manning was set to be executed tonight, but recent developments have changed that.
WCBI's Paulo Salazar spent his day at Parchman and has the very latest.
Well, it's the latest development in a case that's been ongoing since 1992. I'm standing outside the Parchman Penitentiary where convicted murderer Willie Jerome Manning was expected to be put to death at 6 p.m.
But for the families of John Steckler and Tiffany Miller, their day of justice was put on hold.
The Mississippi Supreme Court stayed the execution, and what will happen now is we'll stand down operation and make Manners to be transported from Unit 17 down at the execution are conducted back to Unit 29J building.
Even though someone is charged, tried, and convicted, it's not always a sure thing. A death row inmate will be put to death. We spoke with a former Mississippi Supreme Court justice who says plenty can change at the last hour.
The Supreme Court usually hears some last-minute arguments in a death penalty case. You know, you don't want to put anybody to death if there's any possibility that they might not be guilty.
The evidence in question deals with a strand of hair that wasn't tested for DNA and FBI testimony that stated there was an error in the ballistics testing on bullets pulled from a tree outside Manning's home and bullets pulled from the victims he is believed to have shot in the head. Mannings continues to say he is an innocent man.
He denied committing the crimes, and he was saying that he was hoping he could get a DNA test done.
As some of the evidence used to prove Manning's guilt is called into question, the convicted double murderer remains alive. In Parchman, Paulo Salazar, WCBI News.
In part 2 of Paulo on Patrol, WCBI's Paulo Salazar shows us how one police department is making the best use of an undermanned staff.
One night at a time. How y'all doing?
A generation ago, police often walked a beat going from street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood. They knew the people and the people knew them. That's changed. Now Columbus police are using new technology to, in a way, return to the streets.
They're going to be patrolling the neighborhood looking for suspicious activity and as well, not only looking, but to prevent maybe possible burglary by showing that the police presence is in the area.
In two-man teams, officers ride three-wheel segways with lights and sirens. The rides are quiet, mobile, and most of all personal, allowing officers to see and hear things they couldn't from a car, to look inside or behind cars, in nooks and crannies of buildings, and along empty lots.
You see all the dark places behind the apartment complex where someone, if possible, they want to hide. See, what the officer has the advantage of being on the Segway. He's out and he can shine his flashlight in that area.
And it allows them to restore that personal touch and interaction with law-abiding citizens.
Okay, cops have stopped at a vacant house and we noticed there's a door unlocked. So the next step is to actually enter the premises and clear the house.
We've had a lot of houses in the area that have been vacant before, and what they'll use is they'll use them as stash houses for any burglaries that they commit. They'll put stolen items in the vacant houses. So a lot of times we'll check the vacant houses to make sure that they're secure.
Officers Frost and Van Houten say the homes are often used as party spots and stashes for drugs and stolen goods. Although the home clearings can be dangerous, it's an important part of the job. Captain Fred Shelton says if you're going to stop criminals, you sometimes have to think and act like them.
This is a good night that we're here in these neighborhoods and there's nothing going on. However, next week it may be something different. But however, tonight, everything's good. We're out here, and if there was a problem, we'll be out here to take care of it.
And the public is taking notice. The response from residents has, for the most part, been a good one. In Columbus, Paulo Salazar, WCBI News.
We begin with breaking news. A Columbus bank is robbed. One man is in custody, and the investigation is underway. WCBI's Paulo Salazar was also on the scene and joins us now live in the studio with more on this story.
That's right, Michelle. Columbus police were dispatched to a bank robbery in progress at the Cadence Bank located at 803 Main Street. When police arrived on the scene, they quickly apprehended a white male in the parking lot outside next to the ATM. Columbus Police Chief Sylvain McQueen tells me that the suspect entered the bank and handed the teller a note that stated he had a bomb and demanded money. She handed the suspect an undetermined amount of cash. That's when the suspect fled from the scene but didn't get far.
Columbus Police Department was in the area. They took the suspect down. His name is Jackie Jennings, 56 years of age. He currently resides at the Budget Inn, room number 125. And so at this time, bond and preliminary hearing have not been set, but he is in fact in custody.
Now, 56-year-old Jackie Jennings will spend the weekend in jail and won't go before a judge most likely until Monday. Thankfully, no one was injured in the incident. I'll have more on this story later on tonight. Back to you at the desk.
WCBI's Paulo Salazar visits with local volunteers looking to help a family in need when they need it most.
Communities come together and they've provided drinks, ice. We asked for gas for some of the boats and the responders, and within an hour there was over 100 gallons donated.
Dozens of volunteers have turned out in support of the Brown family to help find their little boy. Justin Brown went missing after the ATV he was riding on with his uncle flipped trying to cross the McBee Creek spillway. His brother Jacob drowned in the accident. 2 other children were also on the ATV, but both survived. It's a tragic event, and those looking to help have come out in big numbers.
After this tragedy happened, goes out of my heart to the family. Hope they come to closure. We brought water and sodas, and I asked what else did they need, and we'll bring out more stuff later.
Area businesses have also stepped up, donating food supplies and whatever else is needed.
We've had coolers, ice, drinks, baby wipes, Clorox wipes. They've donated Porta-John for people. Came and brought a trash can. People have brought boats and dropped them off, just said, here, if you need it, use it.
Search and rescue crews have been working all day and into the night since Sunday. Currently, crews and volunteers are traveling up and down the Luxa-Palila, searching the water as well as creek banks.
Now, the outpouring of support has been tremendous. Folks are coming from all around Alabama, even as far as Yazoo City, just to lend a helping hand. I spoke with a volunteer just moments ago, and they said folks are only going home just enough to sleep and get a quick shower, and then they're at it again.
I know mom's, hurting. I know the daughter's hurting. I know the daddy's hurting. I just wanted to come out here and give extra hand out. It's needed.
In Columbus, Paulo Salazar, WCBI News.
45-year-old Daniel Koppel showed little emotion Thursday when 3 verdicts were read, finding him guilty of murdering Mark Caudell and Bennett Mann and pointing a gun at the head of Elbow Room bartender Mike Ward early on the morning of February 16th. After 3 days of testimony, including from Koppel, Ward, and a bar customer, Al Comer, who witnessed part of the shooting, the jury needed only 90 minutes to make a decision. For the families and friends of the 2 victims, the verdicts were justice, but not solace.
Were they glad that the verdict was the way it was? Yes. Were they happy and elated? And no. It's still a tragedy. It's still difficult to move on.
Koppel claimed he entered the small bar and within seconds was confronted by Caudell, who pulled a gun on him. He claimed he struggled with Caudell in self-defense and that Bennett joined to help Caudell, who was a friend of his. He claimed the 2 men were shot during the struggle, but other evidence didn't support that theory.
I think multiple gunshots to each victim, headshots to each victim. The way the testimony was, the story that developed, it was apparent that once he got control of the firearm, killing anybody became completely unnecessary.
I felt like that he could possibly be convicted on the shooting of Mr. Mann and the aggravated assault, but I felt like he was within his right of self-defense.
After a brief sentencing review that revealed Koppel, a welder and construction worker who had been in Columbus for about a month working for a Severstal subcontractor, had a history of previous domestic violence arrests and had used crystal meth and cocaine. At sentencing, Koppel briefly addressed the families, apologizing and saying he never meant to murder anyone. He also continued to maintain he didn't remember most of it. Judge Jim Kitchens then sentenced him to consecutive life sentences and 15 more years for aggravated assault on Ward.
What we got to stop and remember is 12 citizens of Lowndes County said a man was guilty of the crime he was charged with. When the citizens speak, when the jury speaks, we listen.
Now, the next step for Daniel Koppel is the appeals process. We spoke to defense attorney Steve Wallace. He says he plans on filing that paperwork Friday morning. As for the family, so close to the holidays, this provides some closure for them moving forward. In Columbus, Paulo Salazar, WCBI News.
Welcome back. Accidents happen, so does severe weather. That's why most of us carry insurance. But for Mississippians, one major insurance company will not be offering homeowners insurance anymore, at least not for now.
WCBI's Paulo Salazar shares some valuable information to ensure you're not left out in the cold.
The recent weather patterns across the country have been some of the worst we've seen in close to a decade, claiming life and property along the coasts and waterways. In Mississippi, several destructive tornadoes have done their share of damage, but in a time of need, it's your insurance you turn to for help. Progressive Insurance, a major player in the insurance world, will no longer offer homeowners insurance in Mississippi.
Progressive as a company was writing homeowners in cooperation with another insurance company that actually wrote homeowners in Mississippi. That company made a decision to no longer provide homeowners insurance in Mississippi.
When Homesite Insurance pulled out of the market for homeowners insurance, it left Progressive without a company to write that product through, leaving some looking for coverage. It's unclear as to why the company pulled out, but loss ratios may have been a factor.
Our business is to be here to put you back to where you were prior to a loss. The whole principle behind insurance is basically to share a risk.
And that's exactly how insurance works. You pay premiums so that in event something happens to you, there's money there to help. Just like after Hurricanes Katrina and Sandy, some rates here at home have increased, although very small compared to Louisiana, New York, and New Jersey.
Weather patterns all across the country continue to affect homeowners' insurance rates. In fact, folks on the coast are offered flood insurance, but at enormous cost. Despite the recent destruction here in Mississippi, rates remain steady.
As premiums increase, companies become more competitive, and I think that customers or clients forget that their homeowners insurance still is something that they should review.
Robin with Insurance Associates says homeowner policyholders should look at deductibles and coverage on an annual basis.
And I just encourage you to shop, not only price, but to shop to your coverages as well. A review of your policy, whether you actually move it or not, is not a bad thing.
In Starkville, Paulo Salazar, WCBI News.